I can remember, I think the first time my wife had a very serious health scare where she was in a life or death situation. It actually happened about 10 years before she eventually succumbed to alcohol use disorder in 2020. And I remember it was a time when the housing market had died, and I had bought this huge house in Escondido and originally to flip, and the market died, so we ended up having to move to Escondido, which is about 30 miles south of where we are, and had to pull my son out of school, and we just weren't really living in a place we really wanted to. It was this huge house that had 25-foot ceilings. It was about 4,000 square feet. It had 3 different levels. And it was just a lot of stress because I think we just weren't happy living in a town we didn't really want to live in. I mean, the house was nice, the neighborhood was nice. We just didn't really want to live in this particular area. And I think it was a lot of stress on my wife, and she was drinking for a period very, very heavily. And this was 2009, 2010. And she ended up getting, I guess what I later discovered was ascites. And it's what it is. It's when your stomach swells up with a fluid and your liver's not working correctly, and it's an atrocious type of thing. And, I'll further the conversation. And unfortunately, because we had moved about 30 miles south, where I worked was at that much further, so I was gone that much more during the day. So I'd be gone at 7 o'clock in the morning and not get back till sometimes 7 o'clock at night, and I just really didn't have a handle on what was going on. But I would come home, and there was one period where she was going through some serious dry heaves. She was obviously detoxing on her own, and then for some reason she would find alcohol again. I don't know if she ordered it or whatever. She was pretty incapacitated during this period. And I came home one day, and her stomach it looked like it was 4 feet in the air, and she was lying in bed. And I really did not understand what was going on. And she couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom. And at that point, I called 911. And they came, and I remember just the scene. It was just unbelievable. They ended up it took, I think, 6 men just to pick her up. She had gained that much weight in body fluid and in, every other kind of fluid in her body. And I remember they had to pick her up, put her in a stretcher, and then we had this windy staircase she had to go down to get her out of the house. And it took these 6 guys, big burly guys, everything they had just to get her down the stairs on her stretcher. And it was much more serious than I realized at the time. And, honestly, at this point, the only reason I tell these types of stories is for other families to recognize, if you have a family member that is having, dry heaves, body fluids that are expanding in their body, it's a serious, serious problem. It means their liver function is not working because of alcohol use disorder, way too much alcohol going through the liver, and it's not working properly. So if you have this type of situation, it can be life or death situation. And if they don't stop drinking, a lot of times their life expectancy is not very long. Unfortunately, my wife was in the hospital for about 10 days, and at the time, even then, looking back, just how unaware I was of things. I just thought she had a drinking problem. I didn't understand really, even then, what alcoholism was. As a family member, again, I just wanted her to stop and had real no understanding of it. She actually didn't go to her first rehab facility for another 4 years. And looking back, it was just crazy. She should have been in a detox rehabilitation facility much earlier than when she finally did go when she got her first DUI, which is never a particularly good reason to go to a rehab facility. And in the end, they ended up taking about 50 pounds of fluid out of her body, and she had gained just an enormous amount of weight. And then eventually, she did have a gastric sleeve bypass because she was up in the 300 range. She was a tall girl; she was 5'9", but she was morbidly obese. She ended up losing almost 180 pounds at one point. So later in life, she had lost a lot of weight, but again, the alcohol intake never stopped, even after this particular scare. So it's important for family members, if you do have anything that incredibly life-threatening, that they need help. They need to really get into a detox rehab, and there should be no questions asked if that's available to you. And again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family really good group, to bond with other people and be able to, really give context to what your story is. We can hear more about it, and people can give you advice. Not just myself, but we've got really hundreds of people in the two groups that I have. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, click on the link in the link tree, go to the calendar link, set up a breakthrough call. I want to talk to you, your family, the situation. I really want to deal with people who are ready to change their lives. And again, thanks for listening.